Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Hurley. I am a career advisor, part of the career and professional development team here at Art Center. I'm very excited to be giving you this presentation today titled Perfect Professional Pictures, basically how to take your own professional pictures and headshots from the comfort of your own home using some materials that you most likely already have at home. I'm also joined today with Lauren Mahoney. Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm a filmmaker and work with Art Center online, and so I'm happy to be here as well.
Yeah, so Lauren and I have a really great workshop planned for you all. The workshop might be a little different than some of the programming that we've done in CPD. So this workshop is really designed to be heavily like interactive and demoed. So we're going to be doing some demos for you. So it's kind of a new format for us. So we're really excited about it, but just give us a little grace if we're kind of stumbling through some technical things. Just because we will be going in and out of sharing screen and doing some live demos. So again, very excited for all that for you. So at the end of this program, our hope is that you will have just a greater understanding of the reasons why it's a good idea to have a professional photo of yourself and what it's used for. So things like your LinkedIn profile, your portfolio website, those are all really great things. Also, taking photos with equipment that you probably already own. So things like a cell phone camera or maybe a webcam that is on your computer, just keeping it really simple, utilizing like house lamps and other things like that. You can maybe see some equipment. We'll be doing a little bit of a walkthrough of some equipment a little bit later on, as well as basic photography techniques. So this is where we'll be doing some live demoing with you all, sharing some good techniques around lighting, basic composition, and basic editing and post-production. So I do want to also introduce the team. So we have a great team here in CPD, starting with Amanda Webb, who is our director, Alicia Alex, associate director, and Roxanne Fenton, who is our manager of CPD. And down at the bottom, we have Paloma Young, who is the coordinator of CPD, Evelyn Briones, who is my co-career advisor. And then lastly, we have Lauren Mahoney, who already introduced themselves. So I wanted to share this screen because actually I pulled all of these images from our own LinkedIn profiles. So these are all the headshots that our team uses on LinkedIn. And you can see that there is a really nice diversity in the type of images that are there. So you definitely feel free when you're creating your own professional headshot to allow your personality to shine. I know for me, like I really like bright colors, I like bow ties, things like that. That's why it's included there. I did receive permission from Alicia Alex to share that this headshot that they took was like in a hotel room just with their cell phone camera. So again, the point of this program is really to provide access to folks who may not have thought about taking their own professional headshots and without a photographer, needing a professional photographer to do it. So some really great options there. So thinking about the reasons why to have a professional photo, so definitely want to increase the perception of professionalism. So it's just good to have a nice headshot and it shows who you are and who you are professionally and how you want to represent yourself professionally. It's also a versatile asset that can be used across multiple mediums. So we talked about utilizing it for your portfolio website, your LinkedIn. You may want some social media posts as well, and just other marketing materials that you might be sending out to employers. It also adds to your personal brand and gives you just a nice sense of authenticity to your brand. So by looking at like my headshot, for example, you get just a little bit of sense of my personality, right? Like there's a certain type of person that might wear bow ties and really bright colors. And what does that tell you about me and how we might work together professionally? I have a really great example and I hope to show it to you all at the end, but we'll leave it to the end. It'll be a nice little surprise. It also increases traffic to your website through search engine optimization. So when you have images, you could utilize things like alt tags and descriptions to really help search engines find your site. So it's just another great reason to have it there too. It also makes you more recognizable than an illustration yourself. So I really like having a photograph for my headshot because it shows kind of what I look like and things like that. And I know for me personally, I'm a lot better at remembering names a lot better at remembering faces than names. So thinking about connecting post events or after an event, if I receive a LinkedIn invite of someone that I met, I would much more likely be able to recognize their face than their name. And so we're going to move into a little bit of a demo section right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we're going to spotlight the video onto me. And we're just going to go over some equipment that would be really great for you all to think about having. So end the share screen, and we're going to spotlight my video. So I should be the one that's on the screen. All right, so thinking about the different equipment. So like I said, one of the big reasons for this workshop is to show that you can take some really amazing photos without super fancy equipment. So thinking about like cameras. So there are some really great cameras out there. I'm a big fan, and I do a lot of photography with my DSLR here. So that's a really great option. But again, thinking about the equipment that you already own. So there is some, the cameras in smartphones have gotten really, really powerful. So definitely encourage you to consider using it if it's something that you have readily available. And they really have become super powerful in taking some great photos. And definitely recommend utilizing portrait mode when possible. If you have that feature on your smartphone, really great way to do that as well. And just have a high quality photo. Your webcam also on a laptop is just another great option. If you don't have a smartphone, it's just another good way to take some good photos. Now, a big component is lighting, and lighting is something that you should consider when taking your photograph. And so lighting can really run the gamut as far as like dipping into professional lighting. So I do a lot of actually photography for my partner, who's an artist model. So we have some like professional lighting here as well, but you don't have to get professional lighting or anything like that. We're going to be doing this demo by just using my simple house lamp over here. So I'm excited to have that be part of the presentation and just showcase how you can use some lighting, some simple solutions of lighting. A cheap solution, if you do want to add some additional lighting, or you feel like that you want some just more control over your lighting, is just picking up a ring light. I ended up picking up a ring light, which I have right here. It's not plugged in. We're not going to use it for the demo today, but just to show it, that ring light cost me around $25, and it was a really great investment in things that I used, especially for Zoom, like just being on Zoom and being in this virtual environment. So definitely it was a good investment for me. But again, just a simple house lamp could work really well. Natural light is another great way to just get some good light into your shot. So whether it be being outside or being near a window, I have some really nice natural light coming in from my window over here on my left-hand side. So we'll be using that too. If you want some just additional control, having just a nice piece of foam board. So I have just kind of this nice reflective white foam paper here. That is a good way, and that you can get a little bit more control over your light. And it's good with just like reflecting maybe some hard shadows that are there and just adding a little bit more fill lights to your photography. For today's presentation, we're going to just use a combination of the lamp that I have here in the living room, along with the natural light that's coming through my window. Again, a big part of this presentation is just to show that you could take some really amazing photographs with some very basic equipment that we hope that you have in your house. So there is some optional equipment that I wanted to go over. So a tripod is just a really great way to keep your camera stable and upright. So you can use like a more professional tripod, which I have like here, which are great. Another kind of cheaper alternative is going to be a GorillaPod, which I have here as well. So these are really fantastic, and I love them. They have some nice adjustable arms that you can really put it anywhere and everywhere. And it's great for holding some smaller devices like your phone and things like that. Those cost roughly around $35 that I was finding. Another nice piece of equipment that's not too expensive that I've enjoyed using is a Bluetooth shutter. So that's what this is, and that's what it looks like. And basically it connects to my smartphone and allows me to take photos hands-free. It's really helpful if I'm taking a lot of photos and just don't want to be like holding my phone out, or I want to create some more distance or whatever I need. So I saw some of these Bluetooth shutters online for about $10. So again, not too bad. Another piece of equipment is a selfie stick. I actually don't have one, but it just really helps you extend your reach and extends what you want to be doing. And then just kind of a last optional thing is definitely asking for help. So be sure to ask for help and ask for assistance if you want, or if you feel like it could be helpful. This can be a roommate, a family member, a friend, or anyone who is willing to take a picture for you, really. And I just wanted to put a reminder out there that you can borrow all of this equipment from, or a lot of this equipment from the Equipment Center at Art Center, and I'll be sure to put that link in the chat. So with that, I'm just going to quickly share my screen again, because we are going to move into the next exciting part of this presentation, which is the demo. So I'm going to pass it off to Lauren. And we're going to stop sharing the screen, and I will end up doing a live demo as Lauren's kind of talking through the different elements of things to think about with taking your own photo. And we're gonna take this photo live, and we're gonna see how it comes out, and it'll be great.
Perfect. Okay, Chris. So the first thing that Chris wants to think about when he's taking this photo is his background. So there he's found this gorgeous wall in his house. And what's good about this wall is that it's not distracting. And because you want to be the focus of this photo. So he's going to get in front of that wall, and he's going to have a little bit of depth, a little bit of space between him and the wall, so that he can have a little bit of depth behind him. It doesn't look like he's up against it. You can also use like a more meaningful background if you'd like. You just want to make sure that it A, represents the brand, your professional brand, and B, doesn't distract too much. Also, if you're outdoors, it's of course really nice to have just soft greenery in the background. That's always great. So now Chris needs to consider his hair and the way he presents himself right now overall. So he's wearing something nice and professional. You know, that is something that I could see him either being in the office or at a meeting together. I don't know why he's not wearing a bow tie, because that's his brand, but next time. But it doesn't have to be boring. You know, he certainly doesn't look boring in this outfit, and everyone should feel free to represent themselves in their outfit. But again, don't be too distracting. Make sure you're representing the brand you want to represent. And one key thing is don't wear white. That's pretty much doesn't usually turn out well in photos, or often turns out poorly. So Chris has also styled his hair well here. I don't believe he's wearing makeup right now, but people do wear makeup, you know, just like an easy sheen to make sure you don't look too shiny, which is something that can happen frequently outside, for example. And yeah, so I think he's ready to go with his outfit. Now he's going to consider lighting. So as he said earlier, he has some really nice natural light coming in, which will be a great source on his left side, our right view. He's now brought this lamp that he's going to get some nice shadows on to cover up the shadows on his other side, mingling it towards his face. You can also use like a lamp and take the lampshade off, for example, if you have something like that. One thing to consider about lighting is that you don't want the lighting to be too harsh. You don't want it to be too direct on your face. And so that would be an example of something you don't want. Exactly. And so that's another reason that if you feel like a total novice with lighting, it is a nice idea to go outside. Because that kind of lighting, natural light, is diffused and looks great all around. All right, so just take your time when you're lighting and experiment with how the light actually looks on your face, because the angles of your face actually can be pretty pronounced if your lighting is not well done. All right, that looks so good, Chris. So let's talk about his camera. Make sure that whatever camera you're using, you don't want to use the flash, because that will make you look unnatural and is an unpleasing way to get lighting done. Think about if you want to use a self timer. That's a helpful thing, especially on an iPhone or a smartphone. Think about that you want the shot to be stable. So maybe you have a stabilizer on your phone. Maybe you have you need a static tripod or something to make sure that it's secure. Think about where in the frame you want to be. You want to be in the center, not your head. You don't want your head like touching the top of the frame. You want to be right in the middle of there. So now let's talk about that composition a bit more. It's most common, as I think you saw from all of those examples at the beginning, to have a photo be from about waist up or elbow up. Exactly. And so the photo again is about you. It's about your face. It's about your personality. And so that's what they need to see. And that's what they should be focusing on. So that should be your main focus for composition. So posing, how should Chris hold his face? You want to be straight on to the camera. You want to maybe have a slight angle, but you want to be looking directly into the camera because you're pretending that the camera is whoever you're interacting with. And that is how you want them to feel as well, that when they look at this photo, they are looking into your eyes. They're meeting you in person as they maybe already did. And you want to make sure to smile and smize. You know, you really can either look like you're actually smiling or like you're fake smiling. And a great way to do that is to honestly just fake laugh. Fake laughing is a great way to like make your eyes light up. So that's important. You want to come across as being open and smiling to the camera. And then finally, a key thing is just to shoot a lot of photos, like millions, more than you think you should. And the reason to do that is because you will become more natural as you go. You will start to pretend, or you will start to feel that this isn't weird. And you will also get different options. Maybe you'll have a serious face in one, or an intellectual, you'll have a lot of different options, different things that Chris could do. But yeah, so those are the basic things that you should consider as you're going on this endeavor to take some photos. Great job, Chris.
Thank you. And thank you for walking me through it, Lauren. And so we took a few photos just now. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out my favorite, and we're actually going to share screen and we're going to move into some editing of these photos and just giving some tips around some basic editing. So let me just find my favorite one. Take me a second. And as you can see, I was really experimenting with a couple of different things and experimenting with my lighting and where things were. So I think I like this one the best. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, share my phone screen actually, in just a second. And so we're going to share my screen, and all right, so my phone should be on your screen right now. And we're going to pull up that photo that I took right here. So this is the photo that I took. It's the one I like. I like that I have some nice soft light coming in from that window, as we can see, but there's definitely some work that needs to be done and thinking about how can we edit this photo and change it. So when you're thinking about editing photos, and again, this is just done right on my phone. So a majority of your work should be done already in the actual photo itself. So really want to think about, are we setting up like the lighting, the composition in a way that makes the most sense for us? And we really want to keep our editing down to a minimum. We also want to just keep our editing down to a minimum and not over edit. That could be a trap that we could fall into, is making ourselves look a little uncanny or cartoonish. So there are a number of ways to edit photos, such as using like programs like Photoshop or Lightroom. Those are really great and really popular. But for today's program, again, we really want to make sure that this is as accessible to as many people as possible. So we're going to be editing just directly in the photo application that I have on my phone. So that will be just really great. And again, very similar to how the cameras have really improved, so has the editing software on phones. So some of these software features may be different depending on the phone that you have. I am using a Google Pixel 4a 5G, but just know that some of the terms and things that we're going to be looking at is going to just be helpful for you. So the first adjustment that we're going to make and we're going to go down to my adjustments tab, is we're going to go ahead and take a look at cropping. So a 4:5 ratio is preferred, but we definitely just don't want things to be horizontal. And as you can see, there's definitely some stuff in the photo that we want to crop out. So like, for example, like the heating vent up there, we don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to go ahead and crop it. So I'm going to crop that. And we also want to try to hide a little bit of the fact that we were taking this photo ourselves. So I'm actually going to bring it up to my elbows, and we get to hide my arm a little bit from taking that photo. So I like that. I like that a lot. I think it looks good. It could be ready for me to use LinkedIn or use on LinkedIn. We're also going to take a look at the brightness. So adjusting the brightness is a good way to just see some of the highlights and the darkness of the image. So when I go to the adjustments, we can see a couple of different things pop up. So starting off with the brightness, I may want to just experiment and see what it's like if I were to darken or brighten the photo. I tend to brighten my photos just a little bit. So you can see just added a small adjustment there. The next one we're going to take a look at is the contrast. And so the contrast is going to be the adjustment difference between light and dark areas. So how light are your lights and how dark are your darks? And when we increase the contrast, our lights are going to become lighter. And when we decrease it, our darks are going to become darker. So we can experiment here and we can see kind of what does it look like on the extreme, and that might be too much. So right, and now we're looking at that like uncanny valley, like that does not look like me or a real person. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that down. I'm gonna bring it down actually just into the negative just a little bit. Saturation is also a great thing to take a look at, and saturation adjusts the intensity and richness of your colors in the photo. So if I go over here, we're gonna see the saturation tool. So again, just to kind of show the extremes, that's all the way. That's too much. You can see my skin tone became very orange. The colors in my shirt popped a little bit, and vice versa. If we go the other way, we're going to start to lose a lot of that color. So we really want to just have a nice experimentation. I'm going to bring the saturation up just a little bit so that the colors in my shirt pop a little bit. And then the other thing is the temperature or the warmth. So on my phone, it's called warmth. And the warmth is going to adjust how warm or cool the colors are in your photo. So again, looking at the extremes, we get very orange if we make it very warm. And then if we make it very cold, we get like a blue tint. So again, want to be very conservative here and just make some minor edits. So I'm going to go just slightly onto the cool side. And then I'll hit done and hit save. And we have successfully edited the photo. So I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we'll come back to the main presentation. And we'll share the main presentation here. All right. And so thinking of the recap, so we just did a lot of great things. We had a nice live demo there. But again, hopefully by the end of this program, we're really hoping that you have a greater understanding of the reasons to have a professional photo, using it on LinkedIn or a portfolio website. We hope that you have a good understanding of how to take a photo and using equipment that you already own, such as house lamps and your own smartphone if you have one, or a camera that's located on your webcam for your laptop, just some really basic equipments. And we went over some nice basic photography techniques. So this includes basic lighting, basic composition, posing, the basics of editing and post-production. And we'll be putting a lot of this information in the chat as well. So I'm going to go ahead and copy a lot of that into the chat as we kind of go into the Q&A. But I just want to end with saying thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to shift into the Q&A portion of the presentation, but there are some great ways to connect with us. So if, for example, you don't get an answer or a question answered, or a question comes up later, feel free to email us, careers@artscenter.edu. You're also always welcome to check out our website, artscentercpd.com, which has just a lot of great resources. And I also want to plug our Instagram @artscentercpd. And finally, Arts Center Connect, which is going to be your hub to connect with us and in our office. It's where you'll schedule career advising appointments. It's where you'll RSVP to our events, as well as take a look at our job board. So we have a lot of great stuff on there as well. And with that, we're going to move into the Q&A. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording and we'll jump into your questions. If you do have questions, please use the Q&A feature. But I just, again, want to thank everyone for being here. And thank you, Lauren, for helping us out to take some photos. So